Don't you love it when by the time I actually put the name of the episode on this screen, it'll be time to move to the next screen. But that doesn't stop me. Wow, that. There we go. Yep, I didn't start the game. I was gonna do more ducks. Just bought the whole thing. I bought the bundle. Where's the ducklings? All right. I am a little bit out of it today. I've got a lot going on, and a lot of it's fun, but it's still a lot. So, brain's a little tired. I wrote a lot of different things today. I'm only recently discovered how tired. 2 pieces of nonfiction today, and I had to edit or expand a piece of fiction, and the expanding of the piece of fiction is not happening great. Then I got hyper-focused watching Instagram. And then I realized I wanted a Christmas overlay for this podcast, for the live stream. Well, it's Christmas now. It's just supposed to be like a holiday cyberpunk thing. It looks more cyberpunky than Christmassy. But that's okay. We're here, and we're going to do the thing. I think I was right. I should be writing 24. Excellent. What in the world is this? This is weird. What are we supposed to... Is it just a different way to look at the ducks? There are no ducks. Maybe it doesn't come there. Oh, there it is. Anyway, we're going to get started. My energy's low, but I don't feel bad or anything. Oh, one funny thing. I changed... I've been having hip pain because I'm old and because I've been sitting too much. So I wanted to get a standing desk converter that, you raise up when you want to stand up and then you lower it when you want to sit down. Only sitting down with my monitors on the converter, it's still higher than I was used to when it was on the desk. So I gave myself this massive migraine this week. Yeah. I was pretty mad. But it's okay. I'm better now. I don't remember any of these options. Oh, hello. Who are you? Guys, we got a new duck. One of the very few times I will allow for puns. So if you'd like to name the duck, let me know in chat. Because it looks like we're pretty dead here right now. But that's okay. I've seen people stream with one viewer, me. So I'm going to get started anyway. This is I Should Be Writing, Season 21, Episode 24. Hi there. Welcome to I Should Be Writing. This is a podcast for wannabe fiction writers. I'm your host, Mur. Been doing this for almost 22 years. It's 2 years next week. And I've been writing professionally since 2013. Why I didn't do math there for you, I don't know. But yeah, we talk about writing on this show. We talk a lot about the feelings you have around writing, because if we're all honest with ourselves, the feelings we have about writing are the things that slow us down the most. Oh. Underpope is here. Hello, Underpope. I sincerely hope you're feeling better. And I'm glad you could make it. Sorry, I had an important thing I had to answer. Anyway, so let's check back with the ducks. Oh, that's not good. What is that hole for? Huh. Okay. This is a weird level. I have not seen it before. I don't really like. Oh well, whatever. We also have a little ladybug. I like the little bit ladybug duck. All right, back to it. What I've been working on is actually trying to get, and I should be writing advent calendar up for you guys. So we've been, gosh, what have I released already? I've released the second installment of the Zesty Ya Boy stories. I made a 50% discount on my Patreon for everyone who wants to upgrade. And I did something on... Oh, right. I'm giving away Cadwell Turnbull's trilogy. Still have not drawn for that, so there's still time to on Patreon and agree to get my newsletters. And that's who I'll be choosing my winners from. But that's been a lot of work. A lot of work on these. Today's the 4th day. So I'm going to need to make sure I focus and get that done. Because today's is a peek at my current work in progress. And my current work in progress is a lot of fun. However, it's also I kind of write whatever scene I want. So like I looked at if there was a first chapter I could give you guys. That's the first couple of paragraphs. And then there's another kind of story told in another part of the book, in another paragraph, and then a flashback. And I'm just don't know if I need to give chapter 1 or just one of these snippets. And it's my book and my Patreon, so I guess I can give whatever I want. But I like to give something that's, makes people interested and make them care. I want to know what this is. They've always got something weird. Aqueduct of some sort, and we're waiting for some sort of event. Oh, there's a head in the water. Looking for some sort of event to make the water slide run, and I bet it has to do with moving this duck. But since famously we cannot we can't affect the game in any way. We still can't. Although I don't know how Douglas Adams got up here. This is a weird level. Anyway, I'm going to have to cut all this out. Good times. Oh, that's what I've been working on. My brain's going a ton of different directions, but I'm having fun. I do have a small deadline on the 8th, And I'm waiting for my edits to come back for my novel, and I don't know when that's going to happen. Before I get started on today's topic, I do want to talk a little bit about AI. And this is not the usual soapbox rant. Easy way to find ashes. The large language models have been around. But I got an email yesterday that every single one, including calling me an esteemed author, and it looked like but I read it and I'm just like, this does not, blowing smoke up my butt, that I've had movie options before. I know that the letters tend to come from people who sound like people. Not like they're, a kid with a thesaurus trying to write a book report. I get this in publicist emails all the time. If you are a publicist and you're listening to this, already I know you're not going to send me an AI thing, because publicists usually send AI stuff. They send the AI to go find podcasts and then write up a pitch to them. And the only way I know this is because they clearly don't listen to my show at all. So what they do is they go out and say, go look at this podcast and sum up their latest episode. And the large language model does that, and so then it writes another book report. The episode is very Y, and I think it would really resonate with Z readers. And then they promote someone who's not anyone like I ever have on my show, ever. So I know they're not listening. But if you know somebody who thinks this is a good way to get podcasters to pay attention to them, it just pisses them off. Maybe I'm in the minority. Maybe it doesn't piss everybody off, but it pisses me off. And if you're not going to do the out of my show is right for your client, why should I do the legwork to help you for my day? Tree Lobsters is here. I got up early, packed the car, drove 4 hours to our new house, unpacked the car, now sitting on the sofa with a cat in my lap. I'm sorry you've left the area, but I'm really glad you guys are enjoying your new digs. So glad you're moving. But yeah, I didn't stream last week because of Thanksgiving, and I will stream this week and next week. And then the following week is Christmas week, right? Math is hard. Something. I'll stream until I leave town. That's pretty much it. Yeah. So I asked people in the Discord what I should talk about today, and someone requested the research, which is what I'm calling it. And I call it a research trap because it's one of those things like cleaning. It's one of the things that you need to do, and you feel virtuous in doing so. And but you can get too in the weeds. You can get too far into it. Unless you're going to be a scholar and learn everything you can about a certain thing because you're passionate about it, like Natanya Barron. So someone asked how I do it. If I need to do research, how I go about doing that. You all know I'm not an outliner. So while I think I am going to have to check piece of science, science is in pieces, I usually don't know exactly what I want until I'm writing it. So I do not know ahead of time what I'm going to be researching. Sometimes, and this is a bad hacks in, and it'll meld together. I did this with the Minecraft book I wrote. I wrote Minecraft The Lost Journals, a middle grade book. Surprisingly, I know it's going to shock you, about Minecraft. And I had these kids running away from a ghast, I think. I haven't played Minecraft in a long time, so don't judge me for forgetting all the details. Whoever can throw fireballs. And I had them running towards a portal, and right as they jump through the portal, the fireball comes and destroys the portal. And I had one, aside from, make it middle grade and not offensive and stuff. And that was, I had to abide by all the laws in the Minecraft world. All of them. So I wrote this scene, and then I started researching what porous material in Minecraft, which means it's nigh impossible to break it. So at that point, and see what I could do to salvage that concept of, you run through the door and the door disappears. It's classic isekai. I was thinking about Pandora's Box the other day and started doing some research on it and realized that okay. I realized that it shouldn't have surprised me, but there's an awful lot. I'd wanted to write something that was, and why all the other crap got out and started messing with humanity while hope stayed in. And it was a good thing that we kept hope inside the box, because now we have hope. But if we'd let hope outside, it would be against all the other guys, all the other sicknesses. And then I discovered that the word that Pandora trapped inside the box has sometimes been translated as, I can't remember the words. Don't listen to me, la la la. Deceptive expectation, or as I guess we these days, false hope. And so that is why it was in the box with everything else, because it was just as bad as everything else, because you could have these impossible dreams that it would work out, that whatever's going wrong. I guess that's technically the law of attraction, maybe, and calling shenanigans on it. But anyway, so this was a hole I was going down. And the real problem was, when I did the research, I started to lose the thread of what I wanted to write about, which was disappointing, because I thought I had a topic. So sometimes I have a mental block against Spark. I've been trying to understand my reasoning behind some of the choices I make. Like not obvious choices, not conscious choices. That's the word I'm looking for. But things like, if I know I want to write about something that I don't know a lot about, I think I'm afraid if I research it, I will get bogged down in the weeds, and whatever story's in my head will perish. Whereas if I get the story down and it's kind of wrong, to be fixed. Okay, back to the game. That is not English. Possibly Italian? Interesting. I don't know. Okay, now we got zodiac signs. This is creepy. L'astro zodiacal. Wow. And that's Taurus lit up. And this is the weirdest game, y'all. Sorry, as I said, my brain's I got done to the podcast. So, I think if you know what you want to research, you need to know your own brain. And you just need to look at the past and see what you did the last time you had to research something. Did you research it before you wrote? Did you research it while you were writing? Did the research make you not want to write anymore? And this is one of those things where I wish I could give you the end-all be-all advice. But I can't. Because it all depends on your brain and how it works. Because sorry, people watching the stream. Okay. The one exception, and I don't know if this is even an exception. Oh, it's a geyser. That's how it. If you're a specific kind of science fiction writer, then you can research a whole lot and put everything you research in your book, and your readers will love you. But you have to be a very specific kind of writer, because there's not a lot of Kim Stanley Robinsons in the world. And who else mind immediately? Cory Doctorow does a little bit. I remember the description of all the kids going to Mars was really interesting, describing how describing in depth how the spaceship worked and how they had to turn around when they got halfway there so that they could start decelerating, like going backwards. But the way Cory described it was very interesting. That was called Anda's Game. No, wait. No, it wasn't Anda's Game. It was the other one. Martian Chronicles? I think so. This was the time that Cory was naming a lot of his stories after Ray Bradbury got mad that Mike Moore used Fahrenheit 451 as his basis for naming his show, his movie Fahrenheit 9/11. Because I suppose our esteemed Grandmaster didn't know that you can't copyright a title. And Cory had a lot of fun with that. So he wrote Anda's Game. He wrote Fahrenheit. Did he write Fahrenheit 451? No. I know he wrote The Martian Chronicles. He wrote I, Robot. He wrote I, Rowboat. I need to get him back on the show again. I miss him. I haven't seen him in a couple of years. But yeah, Cory is another person who can do research into something deep. And I don't know how much he researches, but a lot of it does seem to end up in the book, and it's entertaining. That's the key. There's also the concept of the iceberg, where layering. Anyway, the iceberg, you famously see 10% of an iceberg, and then the other 90% is underneath. And in writing, if you tell somebody enough information to show that you know 10% of what you're talking about, your reader is going to assume you know the other 90, and they'll trust you to take them along in the story, even if you don't tell them what the other 90% is. I think it's also described as 2 layers. But I don't know how many layers you want to go. It's it can get too busy. It can also distract you, which is not great. And it can lie. Uh, sorry guys. You could be thinking, I need researching until I understand it. And then because of imposter syndrome and fear, you're going to say you never understand it. So you just keep researching. And there's an ad break. I tend to research, then forget everything I've learned, and then work suffers. I ought to take notes, I suppose. What's interesting for me, under Pope, is I will research something very specific. I want to give somebody a name that means something. I'll look it up. I'll choose the name. I'll put the name in the story and then completely forget why I chose it. Like, I remembered there being a process by which I chose a name. Emails, Tree Lobster says, overly verbose and riddled with excessive adjectives? Is Dan Brown an AI? No, but we're pretty sure, as per the latest lawsuits, that the AI did learn on Dan Brown. You know, it really sucks for people trying to do legit work online. Or online out there, that I find it difficult to know what's real. Last year I bought a advent calendar off an ad on Instagram and regretted it greatly. It was a piece of crap. It was so bad. But then I saw a cute puzzle today being advertised, and I followed the link, and the link is full of attractive reviews by attractive 30-year police anyone, but I am going to think that if you've got 3 or 4 instances of one gender's face being paired with another gender's name, we've gone beyond non-binary issues and we're just dealing with an AI just grabbed a name and put it with a face. And so after seeing that and seeing all of the reviews were pretty much the same language and cadence and rhythm, I got sad because I realized this puzzle probably doesn't exist. And it's sad. Or it's a piece of crap if it does. Does anybody in chat have any questions? I know I'm not terribly energetic today, and I apologize for that. But we do have ducks to watch, and that's fun. Underpope bought a kaiju-themed advent calendar last year, and it too was a piece of crap. I'm so sorry. I've had good luck with the exit rooms advent calendars. We're doing 2 of those right now because we didn't finish last year's. So we're doing this year's and trying to finish last year's. Food and drink is almost always a safe bet. Or at least in my experience. I got my husband a chocolate advent calendar, like a high quality fancy chocolate advent calendar for his birthday. Underpope's gotten exit room calendars for several years now. Cool. Master of Malt in Britain has booze advent calendars that we've enjoyed. We didn't get them this year, but we found some pretty interesting drinks through just opening those. It arrived today, and I'm really hoping it's not a piece of crap. But it seemed to be actually endorsed and on a site of really cool things, a site that I trust. So both have advent calendars with inks in them. I've done them. I think I've gotten 3 years of ink. And I don't know if I've ever run out, and I actually made the very grown-up decision this year not to get an ink calendar, even though I wanted one really badly. And I know this is all moot because it's December 4th, and by the time you listen to this, it'll probably be mid. Anything by Lego, if you like the themes Lego's putting out. Most food or drink. The ink from Diamine or Colorverse, and you can find those on most any fountain pen site. And I forgot. And again, it's not like top 10 advent calendars from site top10.com or whatever. This is like Gourmet Magazine recommended its favorite, but one for my husband. Expensive is a weird word. It's like, are you saying that you don't want to spend X amount on an advent calendar, which is totally legit, or are you thinking that it's overpriced? Because it's, and several of them are rare, and Christmas Eve is always going to be extremely rare. I remember, I think, got about 10 years ago, yeah. My husband got a 50-year scotch in his, in day 24. And so he saved that for his 50th birthday, which was the following year. But he said it was very, very good. So if you don't want to spend that much money, that's fine to mean expensive. But if, not sure I want to spend that much on an advent calendar. But if you like that kind of discovery and have the money to throw at it, I recommend it. It's how I found my favorite rum of all time. Unfortunately, it's also only sold in England, so I allow myself to buy from it twice a year, once on Christmas and once on my birthday. So I'll get a couple of those bottles sent over here. My wife doesn't drink at all, and I only drink occasionally. It doesn't sound like a great investment for me. That is very legit. Yes, that makes perfect sense. I'm sorry we got on the big advent calendar tangent. Not sure. You know, I really like these duck games, but every time I get a new one, I realize that I haven't solved the mysteries in the other, levels. Because you're supposed to be able to open in the very first level, but you have to find the code. I have no idea how to find the code. And, well, as we saw a little while ago, the Taurus sign was illuminated, but it's not anymore. Nothing's illuminated. So that's weird. This place is a mystery. And I think everything's in Italian. So this guy's fun if you have, there's a couple of ducks that are on fire. And if they bump into this duck, the rocket will go. Will shoot off fireworks. Oh, I like that one. That's pretty. That's a very pretty level. I think my neighbor does his lawn chewing up device on Thursdays at this time, because this happened last week. Or week before last, rather. It's a ducky with a snail. Snail. Very cute. Does anybody else have any questions or things you would like me to talk about? I'm sorry it's not been the most exciting stream. Sorry, I'm looking at chat now. I saw on the screen a duck with constellations on it. Was disappointed it was not named Starduck. I don't have... We haven't named them all. Did it have another name? Like this key one hasn't been named. I'm wondering what door that opens. And how... That does not make any sense. Sorry, a lot of nouns there. A lot of these ducks that have different states. For example, the duck with the rocket on its back requires you a very specific thing to happen before that happens. Bump into something on fire. But is this the one you were talking about, Under Pope? Sorry, that one. Like, I don't think it had a name. Starduck, right. There we go. Easy. Research I did for Midsolar Murders. Wow. A lot of insect research. So much. I don't think anyone cared enough about the book or mistrusted me enough to do the math, but in Chaos Terminal, there's a situation where a queen bee cuckoo sneaks aboard and takes over another hive. And so I learned how cuckoos did that. Include start laying, hatch, and then be raised, mate with the queen so she can start laying workers and other kinds of bees to take over the whole hive. I never care, but it's there. I said they went to this planet. That's when the queen came aboard. This much time passed. This much time passed. And these are all the things that were happening behind the scenes. So, did a lot of WASP research. I always like to read and watch murder mysteries just to get that sense of everybody, how the murder happens. Because you found a weapon. That's easy. Opportunity is the real challenge. And maybe I thought too much about it, but it's like everybody could have been in that area, but obviously no one saw, or they were hiding their own secret and they wanted to stay away. I'm thinking specifically a man is killed in the woods, and it turns out that almost everybody, including the murderer, the murderer's friend, the murdered man's girlfriend, and the local mushroom expert who likes to streak in the jungle, or rather in the wood. But it was a big wood, so not all of them saw each other, but the murderer made a mistake because he was trying to run away from the naked man who he didn't expect to be there. Where they are, do they see each other? What conclusions do they leap to? Or are they trying to protect themselves? That kind of thing. That is what really throws me. So I like to study murder mysteries to see how others have done it. I'm trying to think of other big researchy things I've done. I mean, I have a close friend who's a infectious diseases doctor, and he need to ask him a medical question. So, as based on reality as they can be, as based on reality as they can be. But that usually is a text or a phone call, not really going down with the phone call, not really going down with the medical journal. I'm sorry, it's been so long. I'm trying to think of other stuff I would have researched. I read The Sociopath Next Door because I wanted to learn more about sociopaths. One of my murderers is a sociopath, and one thing the Sociopath Next Door talks about is not all sociopaths are dangerous people. That's not their goal. Is to. There's a woman who was not very attractive. I don't remember how she was described, but she was rather startled and pleased when a very handsome man started paying attention to her, and they got married and they had a son. And she was the breadwinner. She was the lawyer, and all he wanted to do was lie out by the pool. And over the years, she realized that he didn't care about anything except for lying by the pool. And he would do anything to keep that. And that was, think about sociopaths, we think about basically they're dangerous because they don't care what happens to other people. But that can be exhibited in many ways. Not just one of my books, the murderer does run around murdering people, but her motive is pretty benign. She wants what she wants, and when she can't get it, she starts killing people. But what she wants is not what you would call a huge motive. What else? Learned a lot about quartermasters for Station Eternity. Loved doing that research. And I had some friends who were in the Army and the Navy who I talked about quartermasters to. We discovered that the Quartermaster Museum is in Virginia. The Quartermaster Museum is in Virginia. I'm in North Carolina, if you don't know. But the Quartermaster Museum is in Virginia. But it was a major lockdown time when I was researching that book. So, yeah, there was no traveling to Virginia to see the Quartermaster Museum, which I'm not a big military person. So the fact that I wanted to go see a military museum was pretty unexpected. So yeah, I researched the quartermaster thing. I researched if something happens in a real world place that I'd never been to, I'll research there. I researched a lot about Army bases on the Mexican border for Station Eternity. Sometimes I am guilty of I'm going to research until I find something that works with what I have already written. But if I find something actively different, then I will go and clean. I will go and clean up. Oh, I bet you did, Tree Lobsters. Tree Lobsters just drove past the exit for the Quartermaster Museum. Wonder what that was all about. Well, it's about all the people who supply the troops. Army people themselves, but their job is supply. Imagine you did lots of location-based research for the Shambling guidebooks. Yes. Shambling Guide was funny. I did research. My goal was to write, I had 3 books planned out. And the first one was going to be New York. If you don't know, I did a sort of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy for Monsters about 12 years ago. where a woman writes travel guides for monsters in different cities. And so city 1 was going to be New York, city 2 was going to be Boston, city 3 was going to be New Orleans. And I had my deal with Orbit and Orbit UK. Even though like 99% of my communication and feedback came from New York, when they heard about book 2 being in Boston, Orbit UK said, we don't think that's an international city. I don't know if it was about the tea or what, but I was pissed for 2 reasons. One, my husband and I had already planned to go up there. We had a trip planned out, and we were just going to make a vacation of it. And 2, because I had an entire mythology built around why the Big Dig was so messed up and why it took so much longer and so much more money than they anticipated. It had to do with a rat demon queen. But, nobody wanted to hear about that. I gotta go to New Orleans. And so I asked if she wanted a road trip with me down to New Orleans and keep me company. And so we drove down to New Orleans, and we stayed for like 2 days or something. But it was really funny. It's like I didn't have to feel guilty about being a tourist because it was legit research, because that's what the guidebook people would write about. And so we had a lot of weird adventures. And there's one joke in Ghost Train to New Orleans that I don't know if anybody will get except for Ursula. But she appreciated it. There was during our swamp tour, the guy said that he'd seen an ivory-billed woodpecker in the swamps. And he didn't know Ursula was a birder. And Ursula just pounced and was like, where? It was quizzing him. And then finally she stopped. And when we got out, she's like, I was being so good. You have to be proud of me. Because that guy did not see an ivory-billed woodpecker. Cornell University is going to give like $10,000 to anybody who can prove that the ivory-billed woodpecker is not extinct. And I was thinking of writing the guy. We've got, I was talking about the legendary birds of myth that live in the New Orleans swamp, but not the ivory-billed woodpecker, because those things are extinct. That's the joke in there that's for Ursula. So yeah, a lot of location information. Because, when people do art about someone else's town, those people are going to be really excited until they look and see, that's not my town. In Chapel Hill, there used to be like the coolest record store in the 90s was called School Kids. Man, I miss School Kids. Anyway, when they filmed Cape Fear, I think it was, they looked at the name School Kids and turned it into a children's clothing store. And so everybody in North Carolina is like, what the hell? That's not what School Kids is. It is one of those itty-bitty things, but it's a detail that people who know the area will get. In every night, a bunch of feral cats come out and hang out in the cemetery in New Orleans. And, technically it's because someone feeds them. But it feels otherworldly when the night falls and all these feral cats show up. I don't know what's going on with these two. But waved most of the cloning, no, all of the cloning technology. I just hand waved it. Call it fantasy if you want. I don't care. I did do research into whether, that's not FTL. And then I sent that chapter to a friend of mine who's an astrophysicist and asked her if this is, and she said yes. And then that was the first thing. The first review I got said that my space research was terrible. And also the blood in the first chapter of 6 Weeks is very bloody. And it's also in 0G. That was also the same doctor friend who was so excited to tell me what happens to blood in 0G from that, all the details in that scene. And for my current book, it's kind of weird because I'm doing fantasy, and you can pretty much do anything you want with fantasy because that stuff doesn't exist. But at least a little bit, the myths, then those nerds will come after you too. Like you, I mean, Twilight made a ton of money, and so would I like to have Twilight success? Probably, but it does not change the fact that the whole sparkling vampire thing is ridiculous, and everybody laughs at that. And yeah. So you can't go that far. So I've been doing research into various undead theories because there is a number of undead people in my book. The most important one is the Lich, because I have a character who's a Lich, and I need to figure out how Liches and hopefully not make it as super evil as D&D makes it. Feral cats at midnight in the cemetery is definitely a Fae thing if I've ever heard of one, right? Yeah, I think that's it for me. I'm beat. And I still gotta figure out what to make for dinner. Food's good. But thank you guys for coming to hang out with me. We'll try to be more on time next week. We'll try to promote the so on the ball. You're going to be just astonished at how together. I don't know if you told me. I hope you are. You don't have to say it on the stream. But on twitch.tv/MightyMur, if you want to get in on all the giveaways and special things I've got going on this month, join my Patreon at patreon.com/MightyMur. For now, you join for free and you can get everything. Everything I'm giving out for this Advent season is going to every free supporter as well as the paid supporters. And that's patreon.com/MightyMur. And blog and show notes are at murverse.com. And the dog is coming looking for me. Hello, you found me. Hi, I heard you bark. You saved me. Thank you. Yes. And if you have any questions about writing or anything else, let me know. mightymur@gmail.com. That's me. And I'll see you next time. Until then, you should be writing. Thank you guys for showing up. It's always a little bit easier with your... We got Urban Bohemian playing Destiny 2 and Selena Price playing Dragon Age Inquisition. Man, I miss Dragon Age Inquisition. Okay, we're gonna be raiding into Selena. Be as awesome as you usually are. And no spoilers, I believe this is her first run. Her raid is the raid call. Be as awesome as you are here. And I will hopefully see you next time. I appreciate everybody who comes by and hangs out. More than you know. All right, the raid's been created. I actually have this up there. I got all my Patreon credits done, so I'm happy about that. And they don't have it. Crap. Well, I may get it up. I may not. Who knows?